Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, live from the Ministry League studios in North Georgia, each week with John the Professor Podine and Paul Superman Sperlin, and with producer Caleb Sampson behind the glass on the Ministry League Network. And on all your other favorite platforms, here with all your ministry talk and the latest in news and sports. It's the Jon and Paul Show live.
Welcome to the Jon and Paul Show. This is brought to you by the Ministry League. The website is ministryleague.com. Find us everywhere on all platforms of social media, which is at Ministry League. We have a lot going on, a lot of things happening coming up soon. I want to thank Caleb Sampson for putting this together. As always, our director of this podcast and all the podcasts at Ministry League, but also my partner in crime over here, Jon Podine. Jon, how are you on that side?
I am doing great up here in North Georgia. And Paul, it's good to see you a little bit further south than where I'm at right now. And hold on, I'm about to sneeze.
Bless you.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, we just painted in our offices that you can't see because of my beautiful piano back there. It's a little strong. Let me just say that. But yeah, we're doing good, Paul. Good. Oh my goodness, this may be a short show with me sneezing. But yeah, man. Doing good and ready to kick off and get going with the Ministry League experience here in a few weeks and not kicking off the summer. And I know you're excited about that, as well as a lot of other people that are watching our show.
Yeah, for sure. We do want to make sure and mention one other thing before that. This weekend here at Piedmont Road Church of Christ here in Marietta, Georgia, is the Georgia School of Preaching Lectureship and graduation ceremonies, which will be here Saturday from 9 o'clock till 12:30 and midday. So come be a part of this. It's also a retirement for David Decker, our president director. We're excited about the time we've been able to spend with him. I've gotten to know him and appreciate and love him dearly, the work he's done. And also thank the elders here at Piedmont Road for overseeing the work for the school and all the ceremonies that will take place this Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday we'll wrap that up. And then in a couple of weeks, ministry experience, Jon.
Absolutely, Paul. It's going to be amazing. Wonderful time together. Don't forget the Creators Conference along with all of that. And it's going to be, oh, yeah, Brandon, I will see you tomorrow. I got to take off and fly out of Atlanta, Paul. I'll be flying out of there in the morning, and I will see Brandon in a few hours.
Cool.
I know you're jealous.
Of you going to Ohio? I'm not jealous.
Why?
I do miss Brandon, though. It'd be good to see Brandon, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, so
sure.
Excited to be up there with the guys from Fishinger Road Church of Christ up there, basically on the campus there of Ohio State, and so that's kind of cool.
Buckeyes.
Yeah. Whenever I go north of Tennessee, Paul, it is different because, down here it's, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee. Go up there, and it's definitely different. You get into the Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State territory, and it's just like, huh? What? You don't say Roll Tide or War Eagle? What? And so it's interesting.
Yeah, it is one of those things, and we are hope you do have a good trip, and hurry up and get back to us.
Okay. Oh, I will. I'll come back Saturday. Just a quick
we do want to make sure and mention this. We're still getting a lot of phone calls about ministry experience. As Jon just mentioned, the Creators Conference will be that Thursday from 2 to 8. Dinner will be included in that. Go to register for that at ministryleague.com/experience. One thing to make sure to know, the Creators Conference is only $25. So it is $25. It's that Thursday from 2 to 8. So please know that. If you plan to continue and stay through the weekend, here's Jerry Elder with us. He'll be speaking a couple of teenage classes.
Good morning, kids.
Yeah, he did. We are. We're Jerry's kids and proud of it. that we will be looking forward to that. So that's 50 when you look at the Friday night all the way through Sunday. And if you do everything, it's 60. And we hope you'll make plans to be a part of as much of that as you possibly can. And but you go there, ministryleague.com will be where you go to find all that out. So we're getting close to it. So very important. And if you're local and you're not registering or not getting online, please shoot me an email and let me know about what's going on that, and so we can prepare for the food on that as well. So
absolutely.
That is Paul at ministryleague.com.
Hey, what's up, Colin? Yeah. Paul, it's just going to be an exciting time, as we're getting closer and getting closer to it. Just really thrilled of what this weekend's going to entail with just everybody, the speakers and the sessions and everything that's going to come from it. It's going to be really amazing. And so looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Yep. There's a schedule. So encourage everybody to come be a part of that. A lot more youth and teachers. That's just half of them. So,
absolutely.
a lot more to that, and of course the bonfire devotional after worship. Friday night, David Chan will be speaking at 7, and then Cody Michael have a devotional. Will be singing there around the campfire out back here at Piedmont Road, and so the family here at Piedmont's excited to have people in, and look forward to seeing everybody being here. And folks that are housing people are got it set up and getting ready, and so we're ready to go.
Absolutely, Paul. And hey, I know we're going to be talking a little bit about some sports here at the end. Got some exciting things going on with the Braves. At least they're winning
a little bit. They didn't lose a series here, so they won the series with the Brewers, and they split the series with the Red Sox, and then off today, and the Padres in town on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I know we'll be talking a little bit about that here at the end, but I guess we really want to jump on the show. I guess we don't really plan on making this a long show.
But John, we do want to make sure and mention this too. First of all, that we're going to start saving the recordings of the ministry part of what we do here. And we're going to start loading those onto iTunes. So please look for the Jon and Paul Show through iTunes here very shortly. Another revamp of our show, as it'll start in August, but we're starting to record now. So a lot of these things will be saved. You'll be able to listen to them audio-wise. And then, of course, always go to the Ministry League Ministry League Facebook page and find these. And, of course, Ben and Travis and other shows that we do with Ministry League as well right there.
Yeah, and I just noticed that Jerry said he's going to be traveling with Dan Winkler, and he asked if that's a creators conference in and of itself, and it probably is. To sit. So I guess what would that be? About 5.5 hours from Nashville to Marietta. So Jerry, I imagine you're going to have a wonderful trip.
Still waiting to hear from Jerry if he's going to need. Or if Brother Dan needs a place to stay. I know Jerry does, and we got him taken care of. And so as much as the drive will be interesting and cool, will the nighttime be as well? So let's find out. Who knows?
Absolutely. So it'll be good. But Paul, Dan is one of those few who can give me a run. Dan does have a beard. He does. Yep. You will not see mine getting like that.
No.
At all. At all. Well, Paul, I think, what we want to talk today, I think will probably generate, it should generate a lot of discussion. So we want our people that are out there to, we want them to discuss. We want them to be a part of the show. Just, keep things civil.
In perspective.
Please
understand, we're coming from a biblical Christian standpoint. So by saying that, when we even mention what we're going to talk about, you're going to know where we're going to go on this. But we do want to open it up for discussion and questions and comments but I think we also need to understand there are two sides to every story. And I think there's a really neat comparison when you look at how we interpret the Bible and our theology in comparison to kind of how this is gone. So So we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes, but I'll let John introduce our discussion this week.
Oh, you're going to let me introduce our discussion for today. Well, thanks a lot.
I'll do it.
Nah, it's fine. I mean, it's good. It's Paul. I'm sure that all of our people, they know what we're probably getting ready to come at. I guess, a lot's been made in the last week and a half or so.
At least.
Well, let's take this back. It's actually been a debate that's been going on for nearly 50 years, ever since 1973 took place. But it's made a lot of headlines again because of a possible overturning of the Supreme Court case of Roe versus Wade that a lot of people hold in high esteem for abortion activists and things such as that. And it's caused a huge stir in our country, in some of our churches and things like this. And Paul, you and I, we're not afraid to shy away from these topics on our show and to talk about these things. But that's kind of what we wanted just to dive into a little bit today.
We do. We don't want to avoid what's going on in the world today. There was even some mentionings of some uptick in COVID, and folks, it is what it is. It's a really big cold. Stay home for 2 weeks, come back out. But this is just one of those things that it's going on. It was a big deal, like you said. It broke out in 1973, and here we are still talking about it, and folks still trying to make a point and a difference in the lives and saving those that have no choice and will to live or die. And so it comes down to the abortion issue, and deciding or trying to come with a solution as to what is right, what is wrong. But really it comes down to what is biblically correct. And that's kind of what this all will end up coming down to, is the Christian matters of it all. So it's been in the court system, like you said, 50 years, and some discussions have been made, and some laws have been defined, and some things have been shared. And like I said, there are folks on both sides of this, and so we just want to convey kind of what is going on and what is our point and our purpose and our responsibility as Christians.
Yeah, because a lot of people get very emotional about this, and there's a lot of emotions that come out, and sometimes we don't respond necessarily in ways that we need to respond. Paul, I talked about this. I do a little devotional for our church here now on Tuesdays, and I didn't get into this topic. I just got into what about the things that we say and how we talk to people. And sometimes we need to listen, because sometimes, especially when emotions get involved, Paul, we don't listen to where people are coming from. And that happens on both sides of this. But reason why it is because it is an emotional topic, because it is talking about a life. It is talking about a child. And so it becomes emotional for people. And sometimes we need to remember as Christians that we still have to share the character of Christ living out in us, even if we disagree with the person that we're discussing this with.
Yeah. When you get to this topic, you talk about this, and of course, the first thing you hear about as someone who's grown up in the church, you hear the word abortion, you think sin.
Sure.
And it's the first thing, and it's what you talk about. It is what it is. You do not kill an unborn child. You do not do that. That is the discussion. And I think for the most part, a lot of folks could stand by that pretty well, and probably should. But then you look at the other side of things, the issues at hand that have driven Roe versus Wade and other things, and basically they wanted to protect their right to have their choice, be pro-choice. To if I want to get rid of a baby, I'll get rid of a baby, and people fall in different categories. People have premarital sex and adultery and fornication, and say, I got pregnant. Oh well, let's just kill it. We are completely against that. that is not. I feel like an option that should be practiced. But then people would mention, what about this? What if a woman is raped? What if she was without consent? becomes pregnant because of an assault. Which, I mean, I know you feel the same way as I do. I turn off the television. I don't watch the movies. I can't deal with it. When someone mistreats anybody, but especially a woman, it is by far the worst. Nor would I allow that into my home. That's not entertainment. That's sin. That's the devil working. And I'm out. So that's one side of things. The other side of things too is definitely a compelling argument and something to think about and pray about. What if the life of a mother is in question in having a child? And then you ask the question on this that goes along with that. Do we save the unborn child, or do you save a grown woman who has a life to live and responsibilities in her life and things that go on? And, obviously in the church, she doesn't want to kill a child, but does she want to die? And sometimes the mother makes that choice. She's like, I'll go. My child is more important than me. And we're not here to tell you what's right, what's wrong. We're just here to put things on the table and to discuss these things and to pray about these things and in hopes that God and his will reside, which we know he wins in the end. We know that God and Jesus and the body of Christ will have the victory. We do know that. The Bible tells us that specifically, so we know that. But we do also want to just have a discussion to open up the eyes of people and to give us things to pray about and to understand that there's some things out there we just don't understand and we can't relate to. And a couple of guys talking about this is one thing, but it'd be different, if you have someone who's actually been through it or could, because of all these things. It's just, it hurts my heart to think about it, to be honest.
And Paul, I think what you just said is where I'm afraid that sometimes churches and extremely religious and conservative people, we lose the perception argument with it, because you take somebody who is pregnant from a rape or without consent and by no fault of their own. And then when we come across with it, it sounds like, oh, so not only have I been victimized in this way, now it's almost like you don't care that I've been victimized by it. And so sometimes we need to remember that we have to have, it should break our hearts that people are in this situation by no choice of their own. And we should be empathetic toward that person, because what I have heard and what I've come across before of interacting with people, and I'm sure you have too, is that they feel like, okay, so I've been victimized once. Now the church is going to victimize me and look at me in a way because of this. And so I don't win this way. I don't win this way. And so, and people have left the church because of it and have some serious depression and some mental health issues that come off of it. And I will say this, you said something a second ago that it is easy for you and me to say one thing because we're men, which is kind of what part of people are arguing with the case of Roe versus Wade is we're not a woman that has to understand what it's like to go through a pregnancy, that especially in a situation like we're talking about right now, where it is not a choice of their own to be pregnant, and or like you brought up a scenario where her life is in danger, that has to go through all of these things like this. And what I don't think either one of us are saying that we think an unborn child, like you said, abortion. We're not talking about that. What we are saying is that maybe guys, especially, I know that probably the majority of people that are watching this are men, is maybe we do need to take a step back, and instead of being so quick to say, oh, here it is, blah, 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 and especially in our church world to listen. James says in James 1:19, be slow to speech, listening to people, putting people in their shoes. I'm not saying we're going to agree with people who disagree with us on this issue. What I am saying is at least to be able to show that we have a listening ear and an empathetic ear to people that are faced in dealing and trying to figure out what to do in certain situations.
Yeah, you said a good thing there in talking about the listening part. Sometimes we listen with the intent to respond. Yes. And that's we can't wait till you stop talking so I can start talking. That's not what happens here, by the way. We were good. We know when we stop, we know when we start. We're good with that. But some people in their life, they're like, what I have to say is more important. So when you shut your face, I'm going to tell you how it is. Yep. And like you said with men, and this is in the church. Sorry, it is in the church. It's in the homes. It's in business. It's in life. Men want to go in and fix it fast and stop the discussion. I really think this is one of those times when, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm having lunch with my wife today. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to ask her questions, and we're going to have this discussion. Mm-hmm. We need to stop assuming because we're men, we have all the answers. We need to go to a woman, a lady, and with respect and say, share with me your emotions on this. Let's talk about this. And we need to do more of that. To be honest, in the home, in the Christian home, we need to be doing a whole lot more talking about things and praying about things than just assuming, well, that's the world, what it is. No, in the church, we need to have opinions, and we need to share the opinions that Jesus would have us to do. 1 Corinthians 11:1, Paul tells the church there, imitate me as I imitate Jesus. Let's do what Jesus did. Let's speak that. You and I just last week, I'm pretty sure, Philippians 2:5, talking about having the mind of Jesus and thinking like Jesus thought. And I think that's what Jesus would do. Mm-hmm. Jesus was the not just the Savior, not just the one on the cross, the man who in situations like this would go up to a group of ladies and say, tell me what's going on with you. Help us to understand this. We're not there. Explain this so everyone in the room can get it. Put us on the same page if you can, which you can't, but try, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Caleb's sitting up here saying, wish, we're giving up for adoption. But he says something here at the end that it's very expensive, which adds another layer to this discussion is maybe, it is. I think an average adoption right now is $30,000 to $40,000. And people are selling out. You remember when we were back in Montgomery, Paul, the Claytons, when they were going for adult adoptions, and people at the church there at university sell things and have yard sales to try to get money and to give it to them to help out with the cost. And that is one of the challenges of it. I know for me, for a fact, that when I was adopted, my great grandmother had to give my parents the money to adopt me. And so that is one of the challenges. But Paul, I do think that there is something that you're saying there that I think all of us as Christians can take. Paul says this, and it's slipping my mind where it is. It's in Colossians, and I've totally slipped my mind. He says that our conversations need to be filled with grace, seasoned with salt. And you nailed it when you said too many times when we make arguments, we're not listening. We're listening for our point to be able to come back and say, here's where you're wrong. Let me come and get it, instead of listening through. And I think whether it's this topic with Roe versus Wade and abortion, whether it's any other topic that we have socially within the world, is that our political world, they don't listen to each other anymore. There you go. Thank you. Colossians 4:6. There, that's what it is. That's awesome. And we're not having true debate. We have a bunch of people yelling from both sides, and no one's listening to each other. No one's listening, as you said. And I'm glad you're having that discussion, Paul, with Stephanie. No one's listening to a woman's side of things. Of what are their feelings in the situation. And I think as Christians, we do harm to the name of Christ. I'm about to sneeze.
Bless you.
Paint. We do harm to the name of Christ when we act in ways that are judgmental and that we have all the answers, when most likely we do not.
That is true. I think, and of course, again, you sparked something, and I think we do that for each other in the show, is the fact that, when you have a conversation, people usually, if it's a debate, whether you want to call it that or not, they have a side. They have their side, and they want to communicate their side. And if they're not seeing where that it's being understood or it's not resonating with the other person, their voice starts to inflect higher, and the volume of it kind of gets louder, and that's when you lose people. This is at the very heart of Bible study. Is when you go and sit down with someone. I'm glad we're going here on this direction, because that's where we need to be going this direction. Is when you share Jesus and you go, 2 Timothy 3:16-17, talk about the inspiration of the Bible, and you start. That's where I would start in a Bible study with someone who's not an unchurched person. Is spend time with them and talk about where it is that this is brought to us by God. The message was breathed by God, and He sent His only Son to die for us, who was the ultimate, Savior, the ultimate Lamb. But if someone's not receiving what you're saying, suddenly it becomes combative, and that's when you lose them. You lose them completely, and that's the reputation of the church from the 1950s all the way through the 90s, and even today. Some people turn off when they find out Church of Christ. I guess pray for me, because when I say who I am, where I work at the Piedmont Road Church. Because if I say Church of Christ, they turn me off immediately. But it is the Church of Christ. He died for us. That is what it is. But the fact is, there are people in our past who have pushed an agenda that says, I have the answers that you need. And I think when we talk about evangelism and sharing God's word, that we need to make sure they understand that it all comes from what God tells us, not from what I know, and what I've read or what I've studied. Is let's go and let the Bible be our guide. And that helps us to try to keep it calm. And to take that back around to the other stuff, when we have these conversations, we need to stay calm. We need to hear both sides and talk about it, discuss it, because you're never going to win anybody over by being combative and acting like you're a know-it-all. And so I think we got to be careful about that.
Travis, and I know he was kind of joking with it when he was saying, for some reason, when he reads social media posts, is in a full volume yellow screen.
That is.
That's kind of what it's turned into. And I don't know about you.
Because folks want to be heard.
Yeah. Juliet and I have had these conversations about things going on in Florida and things like this. It's just like neither side's listening to each other at all. It is just, we're going to yell, we're going to scream, we're going to make some talking points because this will help an election or this will help with a decision. And it goes on in our states. It goes in Washington, D.C. It's on our news media. Everything is just constantly. In fact, I was listening to something this morning and I forgot where I was listening to it at. Where was it happening? Where was I listening? That said, if you turned social media off for 1 week, what it does to your brain and help far as the anxiety, far as the depression, far as just even because of the arguments, because of the influencing, because of all this type of stuff, of how much you change. And it really affects us. And as Christians, we've got to, Jesus called us to be salt and light.
Yeah.
He did not call us to be pepper and fire. He called us to be people of grace. And I think that's what we've got to be. We've got to get back and be those type of people.
Well, and you mentioned salt and light. Let's stick with the salt thing. In the kind of people that God wants us to be, to go along with that, you have the salt shaker and you have the coaster. The salt is only used in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. But that coaster, you can put a cup on it anywhere. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure and transport what we do, this life, not just in one location, but in a multitude of opportunities to share Jesus in a calm way. Mm-hmm. And any of our communication, like you said, in a calm way. And that's kind of what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
So basically, when it comes to Roe versus Wade and how this has worked from 1973 to 92 or 93 up until today in bringing it all back, the courts, not to get too much of the legalistic side of it, but the courts can't decide law. When you go to court and you're trying to figure this out, courts don't decide law. Courts enforce what legislature has set in motion as law.
Correct.
And it's, you got people on both sides of it. Some people think that Roe versus Wade is law. Some people don't. But regardless, the states usually are the ones that make the decisions on how they go anyway.
Yep.
And so we just got to pray for it. We got to pray for local government, and don't downtrod somebody for doing that. Why? What are you praying for the government? Well, because the Lord is going to bless those, and He's going to listen to the prayers of the faithful. So the prayers of the faithful, pray for those that aren't faithful. You know, and that actually, John, that's kind of a whole nother show, I guess.
Oh, it is a whole nother show, Paul. You're throwing out some topics for some future shows here.
Well, let's do that. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just something about think about. The one other thing I want to say to this, and then we need to close this down, is they use, and because I did some research on this in the courts, and as things are happening, and they're wanting to get more things mentioned towards Roe versus Wade, they keep using the phrase ending a pregnancy. And what they should be saying is ending a life. Mm-hmm. And they're not using the wordage and the phrases that actually bring about the truth. It doesn't change the fact that some people's lives were destroyed in bringing this child into life. Okay, that doesn't change that. It doesn't change the fact that someone's life could be weighing the balance because of it. But it still is what that is. And I think most of the time when people are talking about this, they're actually going back to the promiscuous lifestyle that brought about a child. You know, and I think if you let that happen, I think adoption needs to reign supreme. I think you need to have that child. I think you need to allow that child to have a life, because as Caleb mentioned what he did, and obviously I've known you were adopted for a long time. For Caleb, I just found that out just recently. But you see these guys; these are probably two of the guys I'm closest to in my life. And where would I be with these friendships if someone didn't love them enough to make that choice?
You'd probably be less stressed out.
Well, probably, but it's working. What I'm saying is, think about that. Think about how powerful adoption is, and the people, and we know the people. It's not just Paige and his family, but they're awesome people too. But you got Andrew Jenkins and others that really I guess that they've taken one for the team, so to speak, and they've given a good life to someone that otherwise what would they have had? And so I think we're thankful for that, and prayers for that. And I'll let you mention what Brandon said here.
Yeah, Brandon's throwing in there with technology being up to be able to see these things. We can see things in ways nowadays. There's 3D ultrasounds, and you getting everything. I think even with Tyler, was it when Stephanie was pregnant with Tyler, y'all got a 3D ultrasound of him, and you could see everything inside of him. So, yeah. So that definitely puts a different aspect on things, shall we say?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, you get into technicalities on things, but in some cases, early if there is a detection of something off with a child even before they're born. Mm-hmm. There are tests for those, and it doesn't mean yes, it should be free. It's a racket, and it's a shame because there's people that are having kids hand over fist that shouldn't be, and there's people that are struggling to even have children that need that opportunity and would give them a good Christian home and upbringing. And so, that's folks, that's something we need to be praying about. We need to be praying about our country, and as Christians, and thinking about this, I think we take things for granted and live our life and forget the fact that these things are in existence, and it requires our attention, our prayers, and our love towards those who are in need, and to start asking more questions and quit demanding the answers.
Yep, I agree, Paul. You said it best. Now with that, how do you transition to baseball?
I don't know. It's like a period dot. Yeah.
Braves won. Okay, that's it. All right.
Braves won. But we do need some kind of music or something. Baseball background.
Take me out to the ball game.
Man.
Yeah, it should.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That's good. That's good.
Thanks, Travis. That's what we needed.
Awesome.
No.
How about this? When you finish watching this show, go to Ministry League Facebook page and watch the most recent Bennett Travis show. It's always entertaining. It's healthy.
Yeah. It's healthy stuff.
Even.
Yes.
So go there and watch that. And if you want to see it live, come to Marietta on the 26th of May, and you will see them in action both then and on the 28th, that Saturday, as they'll be having a class as well.
Make it even, Paul, we make it even get them where they'll sign some autographs for you.
Oh, I bet we could. I think that's a good idea. I think it's a really good idea.
We are like salad. Mixed up.
Yeah, mix it up. Oh, man. That's awesome. You know what we should do? We haven't even talked about this. I'm shameful. I'm ashamed that we haven't talked about this. Jon and Paul show, Ben and Travis, we need to do something together before they leave on screen. Something cool and awesome. And we have some ideas. Folks, please know, we, especially Travis and I, we've been talking a lot about a lot of really neat stuff, and I feel confident. And that's really what this is about. This weekend is about connecting and creating, and I feel confident some really good things are going to come out of this. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
If you need something devalued, then I'll sign it. Hey, you can start signing all the Ministry League stuff that's there, like for the Ministry League experience. You got the first one ever, and we'll have your signature on it. Then one day we'll sell it. We'll put it up for auction at Exposure and see if we can like raise money for
the children.
Something. The children.
The children. So there is sports, and we'll get into that. And here's the schedule, all the things we have going on there. Thanks, Caleb, for sharing that. Closing out the show, though, we do have where the Braves split the series there with the Boston Red Sox. The Braves have the way, the world champions have a way of making even the worst teams in Major League Baseball look good. I do not understand. Our pitching is really bad. I don't understand it. I do not get it. This was not the Boston Red Sox year, but they look like champs coming into Truist Park. But last night, John, the tide turned just a little bit as
you just want to say tide.
I do. I like saying tide. Orlando Arcia, who hadn't played in over a week, comes in, has a 3 out of 4 game with 2 base hits and also a walk-off home run. Incredible. I was sitting there watching that with Steph. We're watching it last night after church, and I'm like, there's no way. He's already had 2 hits. He's out. There's no way he's going to hit again. And he ripped that thing right over the left field wall. It was awesome. It was great.
For those who've never been to a game still, though, at Truist Park, it's still a sight to see.
It's pretty awesome.
That place gets rocking.
It really does.
It has an old-time baseball stadium feel, which to me, my favorite old-time baseball stadium is still Fenway Park.
Going there and watching the Red Sox play. But this gives you that sort of feel there.
Yeah. Yeah, from the outside of it, even coming to the inside, it's pretty cool for sure.
Well, it could be at least it's not Cincinnati. We'll just say this. St. Louis, Atlanta, it's not Cincinnati. Have they even won like 4 games yet? I can't remember.
No, they're 3-29, I think. 2 of those three.
But those remind me though, Paul, of the bad days of the Braves in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
although those uniforms were pretty awesome, and I'd love to see them come back.
What the baby blue ones?
Yeah. The Rangers wore them at home.
With
the Rangers wore baby blues at home. It was kind of weird.
With Bob Horner,
Chris Camblin,
yes, Dale Murphy, of course. Claudel Washington,
Glenn Hubbard. Woodstock has a street named after him.
Oh, Zane Smith was pitching.
Zane Smith. Oh, the worst. Bob Walk. Oh, my word. He had no emotion at all. It's like, how in the world did you make it to the mound?
Oh, man.
Rick Camp, one of the worst pitchers they ever had, but he hit a home run once. I was like, how did this happen? And how can we not mention the illustrious, the infamous, the most awesomeness, Dale Murphy?
Oh, I mentioned Dale.
You did?
Oh. I did. Oh, I got Dale. Don't worry.
That was awesome.
So poor guy. Played on so many terrible teams.
I know. He really
Cincy is 7-24. Good.
They must be on a 4-game winning streak because they were 3 and something just a few days ago.
Well, Paul,
Well, John, that high pitch. Well, Paul means it's time to go. It is good to see you. I will say this and plug one more thing too. We haven't said a lot about this, and it's not out yet. But let's go ahead and say this: if you are used to a video series from the Ministry League, the organization that the Ministry League is, please know that the next one is coming out in June, an 8-week program about evangelism. We usually do a book study, but it is about specifically evangelism. And John and I are really excited to open that up with the first one, and we are looking forward to that. Some good guys that are part of that, and be looking for it. 1st of June, the AIM app, the Ministry League app, and everything else.
Freudian slip.
Everything Ministry League. Know that. Also, John, we have a 10-year video. There is going to be a 10-year video of our Ministry League app that will come and we'll release during Ministry League Experience. But do you know what May 15th is?
Sunday.
May 15th was the first download 10 years ago of the app we now know as Ministry League app.
Wow.
It is 10 years old.
We are old.
Tyler Brassfield, who created that app, who I've never met in person.
10 years.
I will meet him in 2 weeks for the first time. We talk almost every day. And he is seriously working some really, really awesome things on that. Some really cool stuff. Oh, yeah. That's true, too. Yeah, we'll get to that very soon, I'm sure. So really cool stuff coming up down the pike. Stay tuned. Yeah, happy birthday to the Ministry app.
10 years. So I was still here in Calhoun. Were you even in Montgomery yet?
What was 10 years ago from now? What is this? 12.
12.
Yes. I was
so
in
you were in Montgomery.
Yep.
The first thing we put on there were songs and like three classes / retreats or something like that.
And a link to the Jon Paul show.
Man.
We did in that room upstairs, that office upstairs in the Bible building.
Oh, we did that.
Yep.
Yep, we did that.
Tune in. MinistryLeague.com. Check it out. Woo! Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook. We're everywhere at Ministry League. Thank you to everybody who watched and paid close attention to the thing we said today. We hope and pray that it's beneficial. Please share this. Click share, and hopefully it'll reach some folks. It'll benefit them in their life. For Caleb Sampson, appreciate him so much for all he does. Means a lot. Prayers for him and his family and their transition. But also Jon Paul, myself, Paul Sperlin. This has been the Jon and Paul Show. Thank you for watching. Follow us, watch us, share us. But we hope more than anything else, it blesses you and you bless someone else. Have a great day. God bless.